the successful franchisee's beautiful view. And today I'm honored to have with me Terry McGovern. He's a franchise owner of P3 Cost Analysts. Welcome, Terry. Glad you're here.
Yeah. Hey, Luke, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, tell us, when did you become involved with P3 Cost Analysts, and how did that happen?
Uh, well, when I got involved, I guess I started researching it a couple years ago, but I started officially January of the year before. So this January will be 2 years.
Outstanding.
Mhm.
And what led you to P3? You said you were doing research and things like that. What led you to P3?
Well, I have a pretty long history in sales and sales leadership, and I moved to Florida with my family. I guess it was, gosh, almost 8 years ago. And when we did, my wife had a transfer opportunity. I had just switched careers into a data analytics position, which was great with a company called Teradata. And I liked it and I was doing well, but this opportunity came up with my wife. So I figured, let's go for it. Let's move from New Jersey, go to Florida. It was a good time in our life to do it. Our kids were older. So when we came down here, I switched positions to a company, and everything was great. COVID hit, things changed a lot, so I just thought it was a good opportunity at that particular time in my life to get control of my career a little bit better, because there's a lot more changes going on, especially with COVID. So I did some research. I had a consultant call on me at perfect timing, actually, about a year before. And I reached back to him and I had him do a bunch of research for me after he interviewed me, what my capabilities were, what I was willing to invest, so forth. And he was a big help. I vetted out a bunch of companies, and P3 was presented. It was a very unique offering that I liked, and that I didn't have to put a lot of money out for staffing and real estate. So I didn't have to use my whole IRA savings to start a business. I like that. I didn't have to hire anybody, so I got to lean on their expertise for cost reduction audits. And they've been in business for 30 years, and they had 30,000 audits, so they had a lot of testimonials. And so after vetting them out, I thought it would be a good transition for me, in that I could still use all my same skills that I had from sales and transition it into a franchise ownership position. So that's how I found it, and that's how I picked them. And now I've been doing it for about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
And who are your primary clients? Who do you typically work with?
So when we went through the process of ideal client profiling, it's pretty much any company with multiple locations that we audit. The key expense areas we audit are like utilities, telecom, waste, uniform and linen, merchant card services, a few others. But it's really any company that has higher expenses in those areas, and they have multiple locations, not too small, not too big. But pretty much it could be many industries. But what you want to do to have success is try to verticalize and narrow down so that you're getting more experience in one particular vertical, which I did pretty quickly. I was lucky that I had a friend of mine that was in the auto industry, which I would never have thought that was going to be my specific focus. But it ended up being my specific focus, and it's been great. And he had a background in the auto industry. He was a CFO for $1 billion company in New Jersey, started his own business recently. I reached out to him after I acquired this opportunity. And he really liked it because it was a great offering for his clients, because he's a fractional CFO. He does debt reduction and helps auto groups mentor their new controllers or whatnot. And he's basically helping them save money in a lot of different areas. So he said, hey, this would be great. I could refer you into some of my clients, and you can help them reduce costs in other areas. So based on that, that's how I started going into the auto industry. And quickly I started getting some success. I sold a large, I guess it was the largest Land Rover dealer in the country in Miami, and we were able to save them $280,000 over 3 years in uniform and linen and waste. So, I knew it was a great company. I knew we had good offerings and we knew we had good people. And, but until you actually do it a few different times and see the results, then, my passion gets even greater because I feel good about what we're doing. So it's a good company. We have good people. And what I liked about the offering, which I don't think I really said, was it's a no risk offer to the client. There's no money out of pocket. They just have to allow us to get copies of their invoices and agreements and let us go to work for them. There's no investment on their part. They just have to let us go to work. It takes a while, it takes about 3 months or so, but we present the findings to them. If they agree on our approach, which they usually would, they let us go do the negotiations, and then anything we find as far as savings and credits and rebates back, we split it 50-50. So, the challenges are the same as any sales position, is just getting somebody on the phone to listen to you, and everybody's so busy now. So they're the same challenges you always have. The value proposition is a great one, and I'm excited about it, but it's still the same old hard grunt sales work that you have to do, even though you're a
Sure,
franchise owner.
absolutely. And what value does P3 add to one of your clients that a competitor doesn't?
Well, there's really not a ton of competition out there. I didn't really know much about this when I started, and I didn't think really there was much at all, but there is definitely other companies doing this, but there's all different types of companies, like companies that are, maybe a person that worked in the telecom industry and now he is just providing audits and cost reductions in that particular category, or big, large companies that are offering all kinds of stuff like software and cost reduction areas and across the whole platform. What's unique about us is that we only work in a few categories. We have experts in those categories, and that is all we do. And we're not trying to do too much. We're just trying to do what we're good at. And we don't charge until we produce results. So in my experience so far, I haven't run across anybody that does exactly what we do and how we do it. And, some of the challenges are that you'll hear from some of my initial prospects are, I had somebody come in here before and promised me they would do that, and I didn't get any results. So I think also a big part of it is making sure you're going after the right area. So if I'm going into an auto group with 7, 8 locations, I don't want to be auditing maybe the utilities because our experience in audit groups for utilities is not really, we're not going to find much. However, if I audit their waste and their uniform and linen category, I'm 100% sure we're going to absolutely find savings. Then the challenge would be, as long as their term of their agreement, if they just signed an agreement with Cintas, for example, and they're 2 months into a 48-month agreement, it's going to be maybe not the right timing for us. However, it's still good for us to look at it because we might be able to find some credits and false billings, and also just start the relationship and be ready to go renegotiate it a few years down the road or 2 years down the road. So everybody, I would say it's worth looking at. It's a matter of me making sure I qualify the client so that we're not wasting our auditors' time. And we're also, even though it's not much time for the client, we're not really, I don't want to waste their time either. Even though it's just giving us invoices, there's still some calls. So we want to make sure it's productive.
Sure. Well, you talked about the qualifying. What would be a minimum level of let's say that I had a company and my costs every year were $750,000. What would be your minimum for an annual cost for a company that you could really have an
Yeah.
impact and
So,
value for them?
right. So we have certain thresholds. And I haven't had to do this that much. I'll tell you why. But usually, like $3,500 a month in waste and $2,000 a month in uniform. So thresholds like that in each category, we have that. And because what our company wants to do is make sure that the franchise owners are not targeting somebody with such a small number because if we're going to save them 20% or 30%, 20, 30% of 10,000 a month is a pretty good saving, but over 1,000 a month, it's just not maybe worth our time. Although we will look at, anybody almost. It's really guidance for us. So the numbers got to be decent. I personally have gone after the larger organizations. It's taken me longer, but the numbers are bigger. So I know some franchise owners are selling a lot of smaller accounts. So there's different ways you want to approach it. Pros and cons, just like selling anything. You're selling enterprise software and you're going after $1 billion company. It may take you 2 years to break in, but you're going to have a lot bigger revenues coming in, commissions coming in. So, I think you need to have a mix a little bit. I don't know if that helps you.
Oh, absolutely. And what's a typical time frame that you're working with a client?
Well, my one I just closed recently is a very large organization. I think they have 34 store locations, 50 brands and across 4 states. I actually started calling on that CFO as soon as I started, and literally took me 16 months, I think it was, to finally get the deal closed. Now, as far as the process, if they move quickly once they sign the agreement, and it's a 1-page agreement, very simple. It's not like they need a lawyer to review it, which I like as well. It will take, as long as it takes them to give us the copies of the invoices. We need a couple months invoices. We need the agreement. If they have multiple vendors, we need the agreement for each vendor and invoices for each vendor. So we find some clients have maybe 2 or 3 uniform companies and some have 1. And the terms are different on each one. So, just gathering that information may take a couple weeks. And then we have our team do initial audit analysis. And that usually takes maybe another 2 to 3 weeks. And then they present the potential findings. That's like based on what we see, the cost that we see, the types of terms they say, okay, looks like here's where we're going to find the savings. Here's some mistakes we see. And this is what you're looking at. So we might project 25% savings and some credits coming back. And then we review it and get the client to approve it. They say, okay, go for it. And then the audit team goes and starts negotiating. And that's where the time, could take a month. It may take 3 months. So that's another big value that we provide our clients, is we're not just providing the actual cost reduction, but we're taking all that time off their plate. Most companies aren't even doing, well, they're definitely not doing what we're doing, but they are not, just don't have the time, right? There's very few companies that have a dedicated uniform person that's going to not only just check on the bills, they're going to check to make sure the invoice is right. They're going to check, a lot of different things. So for example, uniform and linen, there could be 6,500 different line items, which is an example of the dealer we're doing right now. And we have proprietary software that'll scan through all of that and will allow our team to identify inconsistencies and patterns and number of employees versus the number of towels you're using in one store and another one. And we can pinpoint that. And then that's in the initial analysis. And then that usually is where the customer opens up their eyes and says, oh, wow, okay, I see the value of what you guys are doing. That is awesome. So we then go to work and then produce those savings. So it's the time that is not recognized a lot of times as another big value, because they probably aren't spending the time, but if they were, they wouldn't have that time to do. It's really being relentless and persistent. For example, waste, it's like old school type agreements out there. It's amazing how these companies take advantage of the client, and they just don't honor their own agreement. And if you were a client and you did find a mistake, you may make a call to talk to somebody. You don't get them on the phone, you get a voicemail, then you get to somebody they're supposed to get back, and they don't get back. And it's like, how much time do you have to do that? So that's what'll take a lot of the time sometimes. But the nice thing about our company is we're not going to give up, because if we give up, we're not making any money. So we stay with it to the end, where the client may just say, oh, forget it. What is it? $800. I'm not going to worry about it. I got bigger fish to fry. So you have the cost reduction aspect, which is huge, and then you have the time aspect, which is big, and then you have the skill set and the software and just the ability and knowledge that we provide.
Mhm. In our earlier conversation, you mentioned that you were a college football player. How was being involved in sports? How did that shape your business philosophy and help you?
That's a good question. Well, I think big time, because I was ever since second grade, I enjoyed sports. I did various sports, probably like most young boys did, but football was just my favorite, and I played it from second grade all the way through college, and played at a Division III school, but it was a very large Division III school, and just the team aspect, right? So competition, obviously, right? Being into competition, wanting to win all the time, right? That's big in any business, sales especially, but the team aspect, right? Just being part of a team and working together to win, a lot of the same corny stuff, but it's all true, right? Just, wanting to win, wanting to have everybody's back, want to just do well for yourself and your team. So, I just always loved sports. I was fortunate enough to have a really good career there, and was actually inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2004, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I love sports.
Congratulations.
Right now, as I'm getting older, I could never even attempt to play any type of contact sports, obviously. But golf, I love golf, and I'm here in Florida now, and so it's a good spot for that. Except the summer is kind of hot, so right now it's just starting to break a little bit. So I'm looking forward to getting back out.
Outstanding. And of all the teams you played with and the folks you played with, which one really stands out in your mind as a really cohesive team? On sports teams especially, you have physical abilities, but as some teams like the New York Yankees quite often show us, you could have all the physical ability in the world, but if you don't play together as nine on the baseball team, you don't win. What team stands out in your mind and why that you were a part of?
Sports or business teams?
Either. Either.
Well, I was a few good teams. I was on college. You're playing 4 years, and people come and go. The earlier part of my career, I just really enjoyed, because it's when you're first time you're playing college. You might have been good before, but that next leap to playing college is definitely a big leap. Even if it's Division III, there's all conference kids coming from all parts of the state, and you don't know really how you're going to size up. So that beginning part of my career with those teams was just great. I really enjoyed that, because once you do something well and produce for the team, make a third down catch over the middle and get clobbered, it's just the camaraderie of your guys around you. And I had some great roommates. So I just really vividly remember those times in the beginning, especially. So, in the early stages of my college career, but, at the end, it was great as well. But that was what stands out. As far as other just great teams after college, I played competitive softball for a while, and I had some great times with guys. Matter of fact, this weekend I'm flying up to New Jersey to see a few of them, and they were just great times, because you're just playing for fun. You're working. First job out of college I was knocking on doors selling copiers, which was a major grunt job, but I really love that. And so, you're working hard and you want to let some steam out. So I played sports probably till I was 33. After college, I was involved in a lot of different things: flag football, softball, ice hockey. So I had a lot of good teams and a lot of good camaraderie, and blow some steam off. Get in a fight an ice hockey rink. But it was great because you'd have a helmet on and your gloves, and a face mask. So it was cool because you weren't like, getting in a fight where anybody was getting hurt. You would keep your gloves on and your helmet and your mask, and so that was kind of cool. We would play at like 2 a.m. sometimes. To get the ice time, you had to play late. So yeah, I had a lot of different experiences with sports and teams and camaraderie. So it's a big part of my life. And definitely, I think to your question, uh, gave me a nice base foundation for helping me be successful in business, right? You hear it all the time with interviews with top athletes, and it's true. Obviously, anybody watching knows that.
Great stuff. And as we wrap up, Terry, what haven't I asked you that you want your potential clients to know?
Well, I would just say everybody's busy. I know they're busy, and that's probably the biggest thing, right? It's like, so my value prop sounds great, but sometimes it sounds too good to be true, right? And they just don't have the time, right? And as a franchise owner now, I'm experiencing what the CFOs and owners that I'm calling on are experiencing. My title is owner. LinkedIn people are hammering me all the time, trying to sell me something, and you just don't have the time and to even read it, So I would just say anybody that's out there that is in any industry with multiple locations and those type of expenses, if I'm talking to you and I say that we feel we can save you money, then I believe it, because I'm not going to waste my time or yours. And right now, I'm batting 1,000 on every audit that I've done, not me personally, but my team. We've been in business for a long time, and it's really a no risk offer. There's no money out of the pocket, and we're going to do a lot of work, and we're going to save you money. And if we can't, it's probably because of the timing of the contracts, because I'm not going to go after a company that I don't believe we can save money. So, I think at this time, especially with inflation and recession coming up, if we're not in it now, it's, I think you even said to me the other day, P3 is a primary inflation solution, was your tagline for me, I think. And I like that. So we really are an inflation solution, a way to bring money back to your organization without cutting employees, without eliminating anything. It's like new revenue coming in. And why not let us take a look at it for you? It really isn't going to take much of your time.
And what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
Just reach out at my email, tmcgovern at costanalysts.com, plural, or my phone number, 856-220-2480, and have a conversation. But thank you. I appreciate your time, Luke.
Well, and thank you, Terry, for being here. And I hope everybody joins me on the next podcast of the Successful Franchisee's Beautiful View.
Thank you, Luke.